Planet of the Apes is a 1968 US science fiction movie by Franklin J. Schaffner, who was also responsible for the classics Patton and Puppy Long. Due to a difficult decade, Vietnam War, Cold War, JFK assassination, racial unrest, the last thing the film studios wanted to sell was a political movie. So the responsible persons denied at the time that the film, like the thematically similar Gulliver's Journeys by Jonathan Swift from 1726, is a highly controversially criticism of society, religion and politics disguised here as a science fiction with a harmless talking monkey scenario. The following review will contain massive spoilers, as always for the movies, but this time especially for the highly recommendable novel, which is why I mentioned this for once again. The movie is based on the brilliant French bestseller Monkey Planet aka Planet of the Apes, written in 1963 by Pierre Boulle, which first book, The Bridge on the River Kwai in 1952, was also masterfully made into a movie, which got, like the book, multiple awards. A couple finds a letter in a bottle during an interstellar journey. It is a report describing the journey of three scientists which came from Earth traveling with nearly light speed. They discover an Earth-like planet and land there to explore it. On this planet, the role of the monkeys and people is interchanged. While the monkeys can speak and live a civilized life, humans behave like animals, can't speak, with no signs of intelligence, so just like our masked sheep. Only one of the scientists manages to survive the captivity by the apes with a clear mind and learns to communicate by secretly learning during months their language. When he impregnates one of the primitive human women, this is perceived by the monkeys as a possible threat and he flees with his family back to Earth. Meanwhile, hundreds of years have passed by and apes have also taken over Earth, while humans have developed back to animals. So they leave Earth and write the bottle message as a warning not to underrate the monkeys. But this is not taken seriously by the monkey couple who found the bottle at the beginning of the novel, since that would mean that humans could think or even speak. What a crazy idea. After an erratic flight, 3 US astronauts are stranded on an unknown planet. They are captured by English-speaking apes who keep humans as slaves as they can't usually speak, not even English, nor else differ from other animals. One gets shot, one dissected, and the third, Taylor, is muted by injury and put into a cage. He can tell Dr. Zira who he is. She helps him and a native, which Taylor names Nova, to escape. In the Forbidden Zone, he finds the Statue of Liberty. Taylor realizes that he was the whole time on Earth. The $6 million movie made alone in the US more than 5 times its budget back and was a worldwide success. Planet of the Apes is a masterpiece in every aspect. The interesting story is staged exciting, it is very well cast with spectacular mask effects. It has among others some critical statements on militarism, racism, fanatism and so on. And got, as so often in the German version, an intentional false dub. Or as I would say, censored. Since people in this country have to be protected from allusions to starving children because of war, Orwell quotes or mentions of the unequal division of power. So no difference to the cover-up mission of today's media, like the genocide in Palestine, 9/11, the global warming hoax, the mass murder by poison gene injections disguised as vaccines, the digital book burning on YouTube and Pulse, election fraud in 2020, NATO's wars of aggression/proxy wars, and so on. Novel and movie are both very good and have a similar statement, but are very different from each other in the story itself. And I prefer, as usual, the much more detailed novel, which does not play on Earth and in which the apes of course speak their own language and are much further developed with their technology, not quite as far as on Earth, but with machines and vehicles and so on. In 1970, Ted Post returns to the Planet of the Apes. In the direct continuation, an unsuspecting astronaut seeks his missing colleague Taylor from Part 1. He teams up with Nova and gets first in ape captivity, and after fleeing into radioactively mutated people captivity. Those have telekinetic powers, can read thoughts, hide in the Forbidden Zone and pray to an atomic bomb. There he also finds Taylor and is shot when the apes storm the caves and kill everyone. Taylor is able to activate the bomb before he dies and the Earth disappears off camera.
In this violin, I am singing. In this silence, in this violin, in this silence, I believe. In this violin, I am singing. In this silence, in this violin, in this silence, I believe. I have seen you in this violin. You are silent, you are breathing. In this violin, I am free.
The lower budget of under $5 million shows clearly in the cheaper mask effects. Still, it was a success, appeared in the same year as a comic and made in the US 4 times its budget back. The completely serious mint movie has an unbelievable lunatic story like no other, which makes you scratch your head the first time you see it, and has from my point of view nothing to do with the novel. It's pure trash with a very high entertainment value and has a well-earned cult status, often quoted and made fun of. In 1971, Don Taylor escapes from the Planet of the Apes. 3 apes manage to escape the destruction of the Earth and arrive at the America of the 1970s by a time travel whatsoever. One of them gets killed in prison and the other 2, a couple, can prove their intelligence to a commission and become famous and celebrities. This goes on until the whole truth about the destruction of the Earth in the future comes out, and the pregnancy of the female, Zira, is perceived as a threat. When they try to flee, they are hunted down and killed. But the baby can be hidden in a circus. The not always quite serious, well-cast, much cheaper movie than the last one made its $2.5 million alone in the US 5 times back and was again a success. It tells basically the original novel story with interchanged roles and at the same time tries to establish the sequels, but stumbles several times over the resulting logic holes in the much too simple scenario, which are then stuffed with illogical behavior of the protagonists, mainly Zira, which has to push start the story that often come to a complete halt with almost unbelievable stupid actions, like telling people for practically no reason that monkeys will dominate humans in the future, that the Earth will explode, that she is pregnant, and so on.
You stupid monkey!
Nevertheless, it is entertaining and has, although a bit clumsy, some civilization and media criticism. In 1972, J. Lee Thompson starts The Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, which trailer was my first contact with this franchise back then, since he was shown in front of one of my first movies in theaters. And even as a small child, I thought the premise is silly. It plays in the distant future of 1991. The ape baby has survived under the protection of the circus director Armando and is called Caesar. As Cornelius and Zira prophesied, all the cats and dogs have fallen victim to a deadly plague. Contaminated pets? Where have I heard that before? Oh yes, in the so-called mainstream news and on pages of terror organizations like CDC and Pets. That is why humans stated to use the monkeys as pets, but actually as slaves. When Armando, thanks to Caesar's unbelievable stupid behavior, clearly the son of his mother,
You shut up.
gets interrogated and killed, Caesar builds an underground ape army and begins a bloody and successful revolution. And voila, we get the Planet of the Apes. The once again cheaper movie, this time deadly serious crap, made its 1.8 million alone in the US, more than 5 times back, and was again a success. It shows in a few days the nonsensical scenario that was announced in the previous part, and which was supposed to happen very slow and worldwide over hundreds of years, and quickly turns into an unfocused mix of social, philosophical, religious and class struggle issues. The small sets look like everything happens in the same block, and for no second you get a sense what goes on in the rest of the planet. It seems like a fascistic regime, so no difference to our regime since 2020, does 24/7 nothing else but organize and manage the monkey torture. The more brutal and darker director's cut, which was changed because it didn't go well with the test audience and the MPAA, is now the regular ending. It makes no sense with the continuation in part 5, which had the more positive ending in mind. In 1973, J. Lee Thompson fought out the battle for the Planet of the Apes. After an atomic whatsoever, Caesar and his apes live more or less peacefully with humans with no say together in a village. When he decides to go to the radioactive city to hear a tape recording from his parents, they get attacked by the mutants who are hiding there, which leads to a final battle between apes and humans. The again slightly cheaper movie is even worse crap than its predecessor, but made its 1.7 million alone in the US 5 times back and was again, at least financially, successful. However, as a movie it is a boring mess, in which nothing makes any sense. This unimaginative monkey shit looks cheap as hell and consists exclusively of one-dimensional stereotypes and laughable pseudo-philosophical arguments, presumably taken out of fortune cookies during the lunch breaks and glued directly into the script, so it looks thicker and not so thin. From 1974 to 77, the Marvel comic Planet of the Apes magazine was published under the Curtis label with 29 issues in black and white. In 1975, Marvel published also 11 issues Adventures on the Planet of the Apes, this time in color. It was also made fun about the movies as is seen in the Mad magazine of 1973. In 1974, also the US TV series Planet of the Apes with 14 episodes at 55 minutes was aired. It apparently plays 10 years after part 1. This time 3 astronauts strand in the ape future, one dies at the crash and the other 2 try to get home in the fugitive variation, experiencing different adventures. This has nothing to do with the novel and little with the movies. People can talk here quite normally, similar to part 5, but don't know anything about their past, and there are also no mutants. Worth mentioning, however, is episode 13, The Liberator, the only one that was not broadcast, since it has the topic of poison gas as inhuman mass destruction weapon. But as it happened, the US had just redesigned during their war of aggression the landscape in Vietnam with their highly toxic Agent Orange, causing till today massive suffering under the civilians and some of the usual close allies, like those in the Middle East, from simple minds like myself, just called apartheid regimes or dictatorships, also without any annoying scruples or any sign of humanity, also used mass destruction weapons against civilians. So the episode disappeared and came out decades later on DVD. So no difference to today's practices of fake news media sticking their head deep in the asses of those in power. The series itself disappeared after a season due to low ratings. From the first and third episode, the TV movie Back to the Planet of the Apes was fudged together. And after that, 4 more movies spliced together from the episodes Frankenstein style.
Yeah, let's go to the beach.
1975, the US animated series Return to the Planet of the Apes was aired with 13 episodes at 25 minutes. Unlike the predecessors, it shows the apes in a high-tech world, even more advanced than in the novel, and not in the early modern era. The very cheap animated passable series, which looks more like a comic book than animation, follows 3 astronauts, one of them a female, and contains elements from the novel, the TV series, the comics and the movies, but tells its own surprisingly coherent plot and has beautiful background images. In 1998 came with Behind the Planet of the Apes, a very recommendable documentary. In addition to highly interesting interviews with those involved and a 1-hour making of part 1, the audience gets a lot of facts about the novel and all previous adaptations, follow-ups and interpretations. In 2001, Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes annoyed its audience. A US Air Force captain finds himself after a crash landing on a planet dominated by intelligent English-speaking apes. He succeeds in freeing a group of humans from their cages and leading them to a victory against the monkeys. Of course, they could also speak, think, fight or look bored, but not as good as Mark Wahlberg, because quit. When he returns to Earth, it has also become a planet of apes, on which even a statue of his opponent from the other planet exists. Because nobody has expected that, and this is the real art of filmmaking. Oh, of course I meant total bullshit, which makes as much sense as a spaghetti rain or a twist in which Mark Wahlberg was in fact himself all the time a shaved monkey.
Some will say it was just a fairy tale about a human who came from the stars and changed our world.
The $100 million crab made $360 million worldwide back and was supposedly a success, which was neither well received by critics nor by audiences. The action-packed military propaganda schlock has nothing in common with the novel whatsoever, and even twists its statements into the contrary. He's even too boring for a rant, as there's nothing here worth mentioning except Rick Baker's impressive mask effects. From the very beginning it makes no sense. When Marky Mark risks everything to rescue a test animal, it blends events on different planets at different time periods just as it fits. This also applies to the abilities or motivations of the actors, who sometimes can speak, sometimes not. In one scene they are slaves, in another house servants or pets. Sometimes they defend themselves, sometimes not. Appear completely disoriented in one scene, but to hundreds tightly organized in another.
Just on the ocean, I'm going to be free. Free as a bird flying over the sea.
Probably to get an autogram from the famous underwear model, which is constantly confused for an actor. I expect even from film students a more consistent story. How this monkey shit got greenlit without proper script and talent-free slow coach in the lead is a mystery to me. This turd symbolizes Tim Burton's artistic sellout, which should get a sad highlight in 2010 with pissing on another brilliant classic, also known as Johnny Depp in Disney Payday Wonderland.
We